Well, welcome to Agile Meridian's Agile Shorts series. This is our third Agile Shorts of the year so far, our first one in February. And very fittingly, this month, we're celebrating, the Agile community is celebrating the creation of the Agile Manifesto. So we thought it would be a great topic to cover, to go through and really think about, what does an Agile mindset mean to you? We've got our esteemed guests here from Agile Meridian. We've got Kumar Datatrain, we've got Jolly Ranjan, and myself, Mike Jever, joining you as the temporary host for this session. So, Kumar, your thoughts on this, around the fact that this is 20 years now since we have been blessed with the Agile Manifesto.
I'm gonna say that oh shoot. Hold on a second. I'm playing with Zoom and having some trouble. I'm having technical challenges, even with Zoom. So the manifesto, 20 years ago, it came out, right? And I remember hearing about it maybe in 2004 or so, this thing called Agile, and reading through the manifesto values and principles. It really struck me how it wasn't a methodology, it wasn't a framework, it was just a collection of values and principles. And really at the heart of it, what it hopefully, and I think it has for so many thousands and really millions of people around the world over the last 20 years, it's created this movement for change, for continuous improvement, for really a mindset about how you think about the way you work, how you think about the way you interact with other people at work. It's much more than just a way to work. I think. I mean, it's not just about software development. It's more about that mindset that where people are open to change, that people are more open to collaborating with others, that teams are most effective when they are given autonomy and the power to make decisions that they can control. Right? They're more productive and more happy and more engaged if they can choose the work that they want to work on, rather than being the work being pushed onto them. So it's really a mindset, not just for the team, but also for the team's leaders and the leadership teams to adopt a mindset like this, to sort of take a back seat and relax and distribute the decision making to the people that actually are doing the work. Sort of giving the leaders the role of being more visionary, casting that story, that vision, and allowing the teams with the doers, if you will, the mindset and the wherewithal to make decisions on how they're going to do the work. That's kind of my take on the mindset and how it relates to this 20th anniversary of this manifesto. What about you, Jolly?
Yeah, in one of the trainings that Agile Meridian delivers, which is the Leading with Agility course, we talk about the VUCA world, right? How do organizations, leaders, teams react in this VUCA world? And one of the most important things that goes along with it is the adaptability. How do you adapt to new circumstances? How do you pivot? How do you almost retrain the organization to respond to those changes that are happening? And one of the important concepts behind it is the one of continuous improvement. We always talk about continuous improvement for the teams, right? I mean, retrospectives, very common topic in any agile environment. But many organizations kind of limit themselves to the teams when it comes to continuous improvement. The team is improving great. They're running great retrospectives. But how do we scale that? How do we scale that to the maybe the program, maybe to the organization, to the leaders, to the strategic initiatives that the company is doing? How do we scale that? And that is really, really becoming more and more important. And how the leaders and the organization reacts to that has become a big part of the Agile mindset. And how do companies improve through that? It has been a big focus of mine, and I think organizations are getting better at it, but there's a lot of scope for improvement. Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with you both. And you think back 20 years ago, and the challenge, the kind of the steel thread that went through everyone, all the attendees, and the challenges they were dealing with in trying to create these frameworks and trying to do other things to better collaborate with other parts of their business, right? Or with other parts of their organization where IT and maybe the business side, you call that kind of generally the business side, the side that's requesting things from IT or wants is using IT to help them deliver something. The challenge there that they were having with the fact that people didn't have a common language and they didn't have a way to communicate, and there was this disconnect, and sometimes it was promoted by the environments where different groups were motivated different ways, and they had different end goals, and they were trying to achieve different things based on their structure. So this whole part around the human aspect of it, and the people that need to connect, the need to collaborate, and to be able to have sincere participation towards a common goal, have that visibility around all the things necessary from both sides of a conversation to say, this is what I need and why. This is how we need to do it and why. And then be able to build that environment that allows for alignment and consensus. So you can react to that VUCA world that you talk about, Charlie. You can be adaptable, and you can have an approach that can show measurable continuous improvement. It really just boils down to the most complex thing in any organization, and that is the people, because we're the least consistent things in our environment, right? We're the ones that we had a bad job, we had a bad cup of coffee in the morning, or spilled it on the way into work, and now we're different than we were yesterday, or even than we intended to be when we got there. So how do you build? I look at today's struggles. How do you build these environments that support and that promote that human interaction in such a way that we can have the benefits of an agile mindset producing itself in terms of output, or in terms of enjoyment or fulfillment or your mission or whatever it is you're trying to do. So it just comes back to the people and that environment that the people work in, and having that kind of gel and be supportive. So.
Absolutely.
I just want to follow a question. Can you define, either of you, what an agile mindset is? What does it mean? What is a person that has one? What do they look like? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, the most common trait that I kind of associate with an agile mindset is the ability to react to changing circumstances, the ability to pivot and think about things differently, rather than just optimize that last 5% of what you're doing and expect 95% improvement. Rather than that, think about what different approach you can take and have that quantum jump that the organization might be looking for. For me, that is an agile mindset. And one of the principles is, I always talk to my teams about one of the principles that Kanban kind of teaches us, which is leadership at all levels, right? So we normally associate all of these traits that we just talked about as something that the leader should worry about. That's not for the teams. That's not for the individual people. That's for the leaders to worry about. They will bring about this massive change that we have been waiting for. No, right? Leadership is at all levels. And if everyone doesn't step up to this game at the organizational, at the program, at the team level, it is not going to succeed. So building that right team from the ground up is really important.
Yeah, and I think that early on when Agile was kind of starting out in terms of post Manifesto, right? In terms of trying to be leveraged by other people, you had frameworks like Scrum and things that came along, and very often we still see this. In fact, Kumar, you and I were with a group last week that they're still struggling with this 20 years later. That the focus, when the reasoning they got into trying to be agile, or in some cases they say do agile, right, was about output instead of outcome. And I think there's a big difference. When I think of the agile mindset, I think of a group of individuals in an organization as a whole that thinks about outcomes. They think about their mission. They think about the people and the talent there. They think about their customers. They think about their environment, what's going on around them. They're aware of things that are going on, and they think in a triple win way, where they're thinking about and for an organization, let's say you sell services on the internet or something. You're thinking about the health and welfare of the organization. You're thinking about the customers that you service, and you're thinking about the talent and your peers that you work with. and having that triple win mindset alongside of an output or an outcome versus an output mindset, kind of that kind of to me embodies what an agile mindset is trying to drive towards, right? Those are measurable things that you can say, wow, you're being very agile in the way that you think, in the way that you interact with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you. And I think if I were to add anything, it would be that at a personal level, an agile mindset is very much akin to a growth mindset, that people are willing to try things even at the risk of failing at them. Right. And the outlook should be, when trying new things is, well, if I fail, that's okay because I'm going to learn something. And so for me, that I think at an individual level is at the core of this, what we call an agile mindset. And if you have that type of growth mentality, that it's okay to fail and it's okay because you're going to learn something and you will apply that learning to the next time you do it, then that's really a pretty good recipe for that exponential change you were talking about, Jolly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're right. Those positive outcomes can be anything. They can be learning something new. They can figuring out how not to do something, right? That those are considered positive outcomes, and I don't think they were necessarily thought that way in the earlier days of agile and some of the frameworks that were being used. I think it's much more commonplace. You hear it talked about a whole lot more. And I don't know about, it seems like when we walk into places and talk to people, there are more folks there that recognize this type of thinking, I think, than there were in years past, which is exciting because it seems like the message is getting out there. People are being able to apply the experiences that they've had in a way that's helpful for others. It helps others grow in that way too. So.
Yeah, and more to your point, Mike, more than before, there seems to be more leaders who are stepping up to that
Yes.
to that plate, and being open to experimenting and failing if necessary, and learning from it and improving themselves. So that is a welcome move in the agile movement.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I think we're about at time. We wanted this to be short. We went a little longer last time we all met.
Yeah.
So. Are there any parting thoughts?
I think that is good. Yeah.
No, yeah, and I think it's exciting. The amount of VUCA that COVID has applied to the world in the last 10 months to a year has really, I think it's given folks a lot of opportunity to try the agile mindset without even knowing that they're doing it. Because frankly, a lot of people were forced into it. And I know that we've talked about, the three of us have talked about this at client sites and in our own meetings. It's really exciting to see people kind of come out of the other side of this and go, oh, wow, I didn't completely fall apart. We survived that. That actually was okay. So I think that there's a lot to gain and leverage from the experiences over the last year's worth of VUCA disruption and what people's experiences are. And I think people should spend time in talking with others and kind of getting that out on the table and definitely examining that, because it's really valuable stuff to have gone through that and to use it and try to use it in a positive way moving forward for yourself and for others.
We have a comment from one of our viewers, and it says, I view individuals and interactions over process and tools, in quotes, as a profound value, and I often relearn it in different ways. Lately, I've come to see individuals and interactions closely related to behaviors. And by acknowledging that, it opens up a range of opportunities for Agile coaches and leadership to run sessions to discover what that means for individuals, teams, leadership, business units, and the organization, and how behaviors can be changed as a result of these conversations. That's a really beautiful insight. Yeah, it's really about using this value, individuals and interactions over process and tools, as a way to drive behaviors that lead to an agile growth mindset, right? Co-creating something that didn't exist before, because you're putting leaders and doers together to create this new outcome, right? Or a shared outcome. So I think that's great. Thank you for the comment.
Yes, thank you.
I have, well, I know we're long, but maybe one more question.
We're always long, right? I mean, that's
Where do you see this going in the next 20 years, the manifesto?
it's for. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think that we had 5 years worth of VUCA slammed into 10 months, and I think it's going to actually accelerate people's exposure to and the potential leveraging of the agile mindset in a lot of different ways. I think it has an opportunity to maybe jump out of the plateau that it's been in for the last 4 or 5 years and really expand in new ways. I think it's nowhere but up for the utilization of it and for the way folks can find value out of
Mhm.
that. It can show measurable value add.
Yeah, and I feel that the agile values, as stated in the manifesto, is going to transcend time, for lack of a better word. That is going to go for a very long time. The difference over the next few years, and which was kind of indicated by the past few years, is how do we take that from a team concept to a wider audience? How
Mhm.
does all of this apply to the leadership who have, for lack of a better word, stayed on the sidelines sometimes, letting the teams run
Yeah.
what we call an agile transformation, right? So I see that scaling in the mindset happening in a lot more accelerated fashion over the next few years, where the leaders kind of truly get on the bandwagon, not just the CXO who brought in the transformation into the organization, but everywhere in between that CXO level
Mhm.
and the teams who are kind of championing those changes over
Yeah.
the last few
I
years.
do have one other example to add to this, and I think this is where some of the expansion is going to take an a I would say unplanned direction, but I think it's going to be pretty amazing. I had an opportunity last summer to do a pairing with a former colleague of mine to help out with one of the universities, a group of young professionals from one of the Middle Eastern countries. And the interesting thing about this program is almost set up like a corporate leadership growth program, but it's for leaders of the country. It's for the leaders of their community, of their culture.
Mm.
And you're seeing this move from the business world or organizations, profit, nonprofit, whatever. You're seeing it move into society, into societal organizations, into tribes, into countries,
Mm.
and communities. And seeing communities start to leverage these types of mindsets could bring a lot of amazing changes to the world, a lot of
That's
amazing growth, and a lot of amazing movement towards the betterment of human society and how we interact. So that was a really amazing experience to watch that in action and to see the responses of those folks kind of learning about the mindset itself and figuring out how do I apply that to the next 5 years of my country's cultural maturation. It's amazing, amazing
that's
stuff.
crazy.
Yeah, that's really something. Another thing that comes to mind, more tangible, are the are some of the um, I guess evolution of the manifesto. Even though the manifesto has stayed the same, it doesn't mean that they haven't been interpretations of that in
Mhm.
different contexts. Like there's a marketing manifesto, right, that borrows heavily from the Agile Manifesto. There is a manifesto for organizational agility from the Xscale Alliance that again transcends, builds upon the foundation of the manifesto itself, the Agile Manifesto, but the values and principles, not but really, and the values and principles in the Xscale set of principles transcend it. It builds upon it. It's like, okay, how do organizations apply these types of values and principles to the way they're organized, the way they structure themselves, the way leaders and doers interact with each other, and certainly. I think that will continue to happen as people start to. I don't want to use the word scale. I don't. It sometimes has the wrong connotation, but really to apply it to organization structures that have a bigger scale than a team, right? Which is what the manifesto was created for, really. But we are
we're really long.
at over 20 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed the session. I certainly did, talking with you guys about this. We can talk about this all day.
We do, don't we?
All right, and I appreciate any other comments for viewers that are watching the session. Leave your comments, and we will get back to you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks all. Bye.
Bye.